over 30 years of Freemasonry. And my goal is to bring light to the craft to those who may be rusty. This will be an opportunity to allow you to catch up and do it in a comfortable conversational way. These classes are set up not just to give you information to regurgitate, but to give you information to live upon, to create a Masonic lifestyle that transcends just your normal business meeting and large of instruction, but that every tool can be used in the physical, mental, spiritual, social, psychological way to make good men, and better men, great men. It comes through the disciplines of lessons. When God created the heavens and the earth, he began with lessons. So everything was a lesson from day one. Uh, to begin our class, we're going to start by invoking the grand architect of the universe. So let us pray. Grand architect of the universe, we thank you for this day, this time, and this dispensation. We ask for your blessings, your understanding, your wisdoms. We ask that you allow this moment to be one of clarity, one that will open up doors, one that will allow us to be the best men that we can be to represent you on the earth. We ask for true fellowship, love, and commitment amongst the brethren. The goal, God, is to do not our will, but thy will on the earth as it is in heaven. We thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for this recommitment to learning, for instruction, and for grace. We ask you to bless our jurisdiction, all members, all brothers, their families. Allow prosperity to reign like water, to allow the healing blessings to flow like the wind. We ask all these things in the blessed holy name of our Lord and Savior, thanking you, God, for there is no God like you. Amen. All right. Now that we're in, I see that we have a few people online. If you will, let me see. We have two online. I was going to ask you to let me know who's online right now as we begin. You can hit your mic and just state your name, and you can go back to mute if you desire.
That's Pastor Michael Nickens.
All right, brother, it's good to have you. We have another. Okay. Well, I see a couple of names. I see a couple of people under participant, but I'm not going to belabor the time. I'm going to get in because time is of essence. Um, when you look at the working tools, uh, Freemasonry begins to any initiate with the presentation of not only your obligations at the altar, but it begins with the tools and the lessons of the tool. I think, in my personal opinion, that we spend a lot of time racing through memorization and never mastery. If we were in, I'll say, the true apprenticeship of a trade, you don't graduate to the next level without mastery of the level you're on. And this has been a problem with Freemasonry for a while. People, we celebrate the apron, we celebrate the institution, but we forget the foundations. Any foundation created on a uh, less than stable foundation falls apart. That's why you see a great falling away of men and a great levy of excuses from men because they don't master the first degree lessons. In the first degree, we're given two major tools that, if mastered, they will help you during your journeys throughout. In the Entered Apprentice, We're going to talk about the meaning of the initiation, the cable toe, the lambskin apron, but the two tools I want the brothers to master, and we're only going to deal with one tool per week so we can get a good dissertation and a good understanding of it. You have the 24-inch gauge and the common gavel. Tonight, I want to focus on the common gavel. And it's very important that we understand the common gavel. And without going forward, let me see. Let me get my notes up because I want to make sure I give you the information in a timely manner. All right, we got all that. All right. All right. Tonight's lesson, week one, will be the common gavel, breaking the chains of the past. Now, this is for those who are the Entered Apprentice degree, the very first degree. And our core focus definitely is on the common gavel. And the core principle of the common gavel, if you read and study, is a man cannot grow into the man that he is meant to become if he's chained to his past. Oftentimes, we look at the common gavel and its true definition as it breaks away the superfluities of life. It means nothing to a man who don't know what superfluities are, or he has time to study himself. To thy own self be true. So if these guys are not uh, taking time out to study themselves and to know themselves, then the problem we have is, uh, we don't know. We just don't know. And looking at it, Freemasonry teaches us to learn from yesterday. Freemasonry teaches us to learn from yesterday, to work for today, to work today, and to build for tomorrow. Every builder builds for tomorrow. They build a foundation, they build a superstructure, they build an infrastructure that time will not erode. They build a monument that we call a legacy. So we come into Freemasonry not just to get signs, grips, and passwords, but we walk into those doors of our own free will and accord. We lay down our ego and our self knowledge and what we think to participate in a new lifestyle that has benefited men for centuries. And you got to understand that many men walk through life carrying heavy chains from their past. So when we bring in a brother through that door, we understand this. There is no master mason, there is no fellow craft at the time of a entered apprentice candidate walking through the door that we don't understand that principle, that men walk through that door carrying heavy chains from their past. They bring in their mistakes, but in Freemasonry we don't look at them as mistakes, because every event, every decision, every trial or tribulation is nothing more but lessons. They're lessons. A lot of people, when they come into the fraternity, they look for perfection in a man. But if you are a master mason and you have disciplined yourself, you understand that the men walking through the door are an unfinished product. And if you've mastered Freemasonry, you don't have any unrealistic expectations upon that brother. Okay. You don't look at that guy as what he isn't doing, because we have a moniker that says we take good men and make them better. So if a man walking through that door and he survived the application process, the investigation, the interviews, if he made it to the point of becoming a candidate and he passes through that initiation, you don't look at the brother as a finished work. You look at him as a work in progress. And one of the proclivities that we have in life is that we're looking for men to be perfect. when the whole establishment of Freemasonry indicates degree number one, the entered apprentice. He is incomplete. So you look at his mistakes or lessons, then you look at failures. These are the things that men bring through the door: failures, broken relationships. We wonder why it's hard for men to be assimilated into the craft. But you got to remember, if his primary relationships have been severed, broken, and torn, how do we expect this man to come in and meet with total strangers to become a brother when if you get, intimately with the brother, you understand his history. So when you do an application process, it's not just to get questions answered. It's to become intimate so you know who you're dealing with and what you're dealing with. If a guy could, if there was a set of questions outside of Freemasonry that was into character, and you find out that his father died at a young age, his mother left him at his grandmother's house, he went through all these things. When he comes through the door, I understand that he's going to have relational issues. And the brothers got to understand that. And how we repair those things is by saying, you know what, we understand that there are issues. Excuse me for a moment. Okay. Had to cut off that hum. Do you understand that the brother comes through with tethered relationships that were broken and so on? So now, in understanding that, if he has broken relationships, the brother's got to be in the bond with him, even though he going through his trial of tribulations in his journey to master masonry. You got to understand, you got to treat him almost like your teenage son, your adolescent son, and you got to coach him along the way. You have to be encouraging but firm. Okay. You got to also understand that when a man walks through those doors, if he's lived 21 years, oftentimes he's dealing with anger issues, learning how to control that. Because remember, at 21, he's still learning. We have men that come through in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, who have not mastered self, who have not developed discipline, that will still be fighting with anger issues. And how do you know? You listen to his conversation. And if we're smart in our way of living and trying a brother, you would see how he responds to certain situations. That's why it's important that at the EA degree that you have some trials set up that the brother comes out to. If you call an immediate emergency meeting, you want to see the excuse he makes, or does he show up? You'll look at his priorities in life. Now we're not telling a man that he can't prioritize God and he can't prioritize his family. But when you're free from those duties and you're just sitting around watching TV, or you're doing, you got to learn that sometimes I have to come out and keep my word. You got to also understand, a lot of men that we bring in the assimilation process, they'll deal with guilt and last missed opportunities, the shoulda, woulda, couldas. So these things can weigh a man down. And if he allows them to define him, he'll find himself stuck in a dispensation of history. If we allow our mistakes, if we allow our failures, if we allow those lessons, those broken relationships, that anger, that guilt, those missed opportunities. I miss Bitcoin. I miss the investment. I miss the opportunity to grow. I miss the opportunity through life course to build a savings account, to have these things. And because masonry must, if we're going to survive 2026 and beyond, we have to understand one thing as brothers, that just mastering the ritual, just mastering your faith is not enough. The craft must give men lessons in financial literacy. The craft must give brothers wholesome instruction on being entrepreneurs and to seize the moment to control his life. And we do this first by using the common gavel. The common gavel. You understand that when a man knocks on that door of a Masonic lodge, he symbolically begins his journey from darkness into light. Light represents understanding. If you're taking notes, write that down. Light represents understanding. It supersedes just knowledge because many people have knowledge of many things, but they don't have mastery of understanding. So we give these candidates all this paperwork, stuff they got to remember, and they're going through the course of learning these things. But have we ever questioned that candidate that they know how to study, what to study habits, that you can't sit down and try to memorize something for an hour and burn yourself out. These are lessons that we should not take for granted. When you get the candidate, before you put the paper in his hand, you must sit them down and teach them the basics. Because when a person comes and joins something, you can't take it saying that, oh, he knows. You treat every candidate, every entered apprentice that knocks on their door at the beginning of their journey as a person who may not know, whether he's a doctor, a lawyer, police, he's a laborer, he's a construction man, he's a business owner. I don't care what level of education. You take him in and you treat him like um, Lombardi, the coach. You have to go back to the basics and introduce him first to the craft and understanding this is how we do things here. This is what study means. This is how to study, and give him examples. A mason, and you must understand this, a mason must always be moving forward. If you're taking notes, write that down. A mason must always be moving forward. Years for years I've been saying that, oh, all I want to do is this. You hear brothers come through the door, all I want is the third degree. That's all I want. And that breaks, or that contradicts what a Freemason is. A Freemason is never stagnant. He's always moving forward. If you have a great relationship with your wife, you have to take time to study, read, and consult to become better at that relationship the next day. Every day is a lesson of getting better at the things we live, breathe, eat, sleep, and fight for. We must get better because the moment a Mason stops moving forward, he dies. He dies to self. He becomes a prisoner to the world, its systems, its structures. He falls into the proverbial matrix. So he always must be moving forward, always getting knowledge. There is no such thing as a Mason, entered apprentice, fellow craft, master Mason, and beyond who don't read. I don't care how busy your life is. You have to read. You have to build your mind, your body, and your spirit. When we stop growing, we start dying. I'm not talking about reading Donald Goin gangster magazine. Everything we read at this age is to better us for wisdom and knowledge and understanding. Everything, everything. So, I always told brothers it'd be good in the book, in the lodge, that the senior warden presents to the craft a book of the month, and outside of regular meetings that they engage about the book. That's doing fellowship. You can invite the guys out to a cigar lounge or to a setback to a restaurant, and we just kick it on the book. It's not revealing any. It's not revealing any lessons. It's not putting out the ritual. But what that does, it grounds the brothers and trains them that every month there'll be a task. We never stop growing. The word is we. We never stop growing. Our lodge is only as great as the weakest link. And if we allow that weak link to stay weak, then we're part of the problem and not the solution. You got to understand that when you deal with self mastery, the common gavel is used first to identify what's wrong with us, what we lack. Okay? Understand that. It identifies what we lack, what mistakes we made. So when I walk into the lodge, you put on a good air, a face because you want to be part of it. But what we do is allow that common gavel to reveal who you really are, who you really are. Okay. We must acknowledge who we really are. Am I the facade that I present to the brothers, or do I present myself as a man entering the journey of self discovery, knowledge of self, knowledge of the universe, understanding esoteric existing? Okay. We got to understand that. So, in looking at the esoteric meaning of the common gavel, the first meaning is in the old days, it was used to take rough ashlars and smooth them out. It chisel, it chops away at those things that are bringing us down. If your health is bad and you're smoking cigarettes, it is the craft's job to help you chop away at those habits that are killing you. If you're drinking in excess, if you're not working out, and I'm going to say that a Freemasonic lodge is not just one of meetings. If you see a brother obese, if you see a brother who's going through health issues, we as a craft need to uh, create a bond where we can say, well, look, we need to work out, because we understand that 79% of people who are successful with weight loss and exercise have somebody they work out with, because that breeds accountability. So in your busyness, can you find 30 minutes a day to get some kind of workout? Okay. So you got to understand that that's what the common gavel do. It exposes and it fixes. It breaks away. And when it breaks something, there leaves a void. So how do I replace the thing that the common gavel breaks off of my life? You fix it with the lesson of the life. So whatever the common gavel is, let me replace the drinking. Let me replace the anger. Let me replace the arguing. Let me replace the excuses. Let me replace these things with the lesson of the gavel. You got to understand the deeper lesson. And I'm going to give you the esoteric meaning. A lot of brothers look at their physical, the Freemason example, but I'm going to give you the esoteric, the deep spiritual, the multidimensional meaning. The deeper lesson of the common gavel is truly self mastery. To thy own self be true. The common gavel says, I must master myself. No excuses, full accountability. Okay. And the brotherhood opens up a realm where it teaches you you can't be jokey with your brothers. You have to be honest. I've discovered that people who always joke is hiding something. They're hiding hurt, they're hiding guilt, they're hiding pain, they're hiding missed opportunities, because they're trying to make everybody else smile when they know deep inside themselves they're burning up, they're hurt, they're broken men. So what we're going to train men to do is sit down and open up before their brothers who they can. Okay, they can open up so their brother. So the important part, brother Randy, is good to see you. You want to open up so brothers can be intimate. You know, it's impossible to be a Freemason. Okay, do me a favor and mute your mics, brothers, because I'm getting some feedback. Um, brothers, it's impossible for you to be a member of this fraternity, okay, and not be connected to your brothers. All right, do me a favor, everybody. Look at the bottom and click the mute button on your microphones, please. All right, let me see. Thank you, gentlemen. Um, so, and that's a homework assignment right now in your lodge, in your meeting, in your space. Who are you connected to? In a perfect world, I'm connected to all the brothers. And to be honest with you, because of the way Freemasonry is created, you get an eclectic group of men that come together with one single goal, which is Freemasonry. And you can learn a lot from every brother. I'm learning from Tamber. I'm learning from past Master Nickens, past Master Crawford, uh, Brother Mandel. I'm learning from each brother. And those lessons help formulate a great understanding of manhood. Understand that every man has experiences in life that shape him. You're not shaping because of your faith. You're not shaping because of your money. You're not shaping because of your education. Every man is shaped by his experiences in life, the positives, the negatives, the missed opportunities, the opportunities that seized, his next intention. Actions are intentions. You got to understand again, some of them are painful, some of them are hurtful, but you got to understand that these things shape us. When a man lives in the past, he becomes trapped by it. If me and Brother Randy can only relate based on high school, then I'm already lost. That's 30 something years ago. I've evolved in 30 years. So when we meet, let's start talking about things that make sense. Our families, our bonds, our health, our next moves. I was remember watching a movie, Skull and Crossbones, where the elite men would come as part of their fraternity, would sit down. And out of every meeting, brothers left out of their meeting with investment information, with next world things. They was like, because of our pull in the Middle East, because of this, and this, there's an opportunity opening here, 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 and here. Are we imparting to our brothers opportunities outside of just memorizing the ritual? Are we allowing their families to move past where they are today? There is no such thing as a master mason, an entered apprentice, or a fellow craft being in the same place 24 hours from the day that you meet me or another master mason, period. The gavel represents the power. Please write that down if you're taking notes. That common gavel, that gavel that the judge uses to seize lives, takes control. When that gavel goes down, that's it. Whatever is said becomes law. Whatever is said becomes the action. Whatever is said, it's final. So that gavel represents the power to break away from those chains that have held you hostage for so many years. That gavel will tell that's the end of it. There's no more shoulda, woulda, coulda. That common gavel tells the world that what happened to me in the past will not hold me hostage, and the bonds of self discipline will break the chains of everything that held me back. Everything. There's no excuse. If I'm unemployed and I'm in a lodge, my brothers who I love will make sure my family has an opportunity for income because we all know each other. Our fraternity is too big to allow brother to suffer. Gone of the days of people joining Freemasonry just to get out of court cases, traffic tickets, indictments. Because number one, you shouldn't be at that position. And I know life happens, but you shouldn't have been committing crimes and think you're going to come into a lodge while that case is still open. That's why we have to do a background check. You need to resolve that issue before you come into the lodge because you don't bring any shame or reproach to the fraternity. You got to also understand that that common gavel in its esoteric form reminds us that we are not prisoners of yesterday, but pioneers to the power of tomorrow. We're pioneers. We're travelers. They say Masons are traveling men. We're always traveling. There's always a journey. There's always an odyssey. There's always an adventure. Okay. You also got to say, instead of being a prisoner of yesterday, I am a builder of tomorrow. What I do today is going to impact people years from now, centuries from now. Okay. A Mason uses reflection. So when we sit down and we talk about the past, we don't talk as a common ground uh, to add humor to our pain, but we use those lessons from our past as reflection moments. We use it as discipline, and we use wisdom to reshape us to become better men. So I can bring up, say, I got into a fight in school over somebody talking about my mother, the reflection. But the discipline was that battle worth the energy? Was it worth the time? Was it worth the consequence? See, now you're being taught. See, what you don't know prior, you're not really held, quote unquote, fully accountable. But now I'm opening up the door to share this information with you. You're now accountable to every letter of the law. Why? Because you understand that I have to master my actions and my reactions. You can't say no more, he's making me mad. Nobody controls your destiny as a Freemason, as an entered apprentice. Well, technically, the brothers do, but you still control the ship. As long as you do what you're supposed to do and be accountable to what needs to be done, then that door remains open. If I fail at something, it came because I didn't study. I didn't connect with the brothers. Because the one thing you got to understand, just knowing your lessons don't qualify you to become a master mason. How do you treat your brothers in that class? Although you could run faster than everybody, did you outrun your class just to show everybody you're better, or did you run backwards to grab that brother who was struggling? I always tell people, if you're looking to move to the next level, it's more than just standing before us regurgitating information. It's your character. It's your character. Look at how many people has already quit. They get to where they want to do it and they quit. That's a sign that they didn't even know what they were joining because they missed the biggest lesson. The biggest lesson isn't being raised to a living perpendicular on a square. It's bigger than just coming in and getting my white lambskin apron. It's bigger than being able to wear a black suit at a meeting. It's bigger than the position I occupy in the lodge. It's bigger than being able to go out here and procreate. The lesson is, am I growing to be a man? And am I handling my businesses? No one controls me. I'm the captain of my ship. I'm the master of my destiny. The next thing I want to talk to you about is the growth and the danger of living in your past. Common Gavel. I didn't have time to study today. Why not? If you're trying to better yourself and then brothers have given you paperwork, why aren't you studying? There's no excuse for not studying when I have the information. I don't have time. Well, guess what? If you're sleeping 8 hours a day, now you sleep 7. Successful people don't sleep 8 hours a day. They don't. They don't have they don't want to get up after 9 o'clock. You're late. The day's over. You missed the grace of the morning. If you engage the morning at 5 and 6 a.m., that gives you 3 hours. Then the morning is over because you're getting close to midday. You want to work while it's light because when it get dark, guess what? Can't do any work. That's what the Bible says. Dwelling in the past often reveals something deeper. I want you to understand it. Write that down. Dwelling in my past, or a man who dwells in his past, often reveals something far deeper. I was locked up, my failed marriage, my teachers, My mother didn't give me the love. Dwelling in the past reveals something deeper. What I've discovered when sitting down talking to a brother, the event happened, but it reveals a deep fear in the next move. Sometimes it shows us of a man unwilling to put the effort required to evolve. Dwelling in the past. See, I'm going to say this, and it could be taken how it's going to be taken. I tell brothers and I tell my sons, when you get of legal age and you decide to date a woman, never date a woman whom you can't provide for. Period. Don't even get in the dating realm. And I'm gonna tell you the example. When I was single and I came home, the first thing I worked on was getting my house. So I got my first apartment in Garden Village. Then I worked on my car. Now, nowhere in it did you read that I was waiting to get a woman. Women come and women go. That's another accountability measure that I can't get if I don't have myself together. I don't get in a relationship to live up on a woman. That is not a Mason. That is not a Mason. You should be able to always be self sufficient, be able to take care of yourself before you attempt to go out on a date. How can you go on a date and pay for dinner when you haven't have if you don't have life insurance? How are you going to dinner when you don't have a savings account? See, you have to save before you surrender. I hope you understand in this lesson, brothers. And if you put in a discipline, if we train our children, if we train our sons and say, before you go out here and start dating, make sure you have your money right, your mind right, the basics. So you have to do a line in the sand. What must a man have before he actively court a woman? We don't date women to sleep with them. We date not to mate, but we date to meet. MEET. Because you saying now is a time that I can bring somebody else into my life. And if she doesn't work, if she gets pregnant and can't work, I'm good with it. Now, everybody's house has their own dynamic, but I don't get into a relationship based on the prerequisites of Freemasonry, of manhood. I didn't meet this woman to be a joint partner so I can help afford stuff that I can't afford on my own. I got with her because I said I take the lead. I'm the high priest in the house. So using my common gavel, I've already said that on my dating period, I chipped away those things. I've broken those things off that would hinder me in being able to teach and be the leader that I have to be when I assume a relationship. Okay. And dwelling in the past, you got to understand that growth requires courage. Your growth requires courage. It means fighting dragons and facing giants every day. Every day. You fight yourself. You don't want to get up. You want a couple of hours later. You may hit the snooze button, which is the enemy to a working man. The more you hit your snooze, the more you delay the inevitable. It's time to get up, brothers. Growth requires humility. And being humble is not just letting people run all over top of you or being still. Humility requires the greatest thing. That's opening yourself up and understanding who you really are, what you really are, and exposing the lies that you've created. And not you allowing society to use as excuses. You'll say, because I didn't have a daddy, I turned out this way. Okay, what you know today nullifies that excuse because I'm breaking away those things that are holding me back. Okay? I'm breaking away those things. Freemasonry teaches us that we are building the temple of our own character. We're building the temple of our own character, and that temple is never finished. That temple is never finished. So every day I must connect with people that can help me finish my building. I must move out of my own way to allow me to be a better service to other brothers. So my question is, are you contacting brothers? Do you have lively discussions daily, whether 5 or 10 minutes? I ain't saying you're gonna get on the phone and gossip like the women do or whatever. And I hope you as a man, you're not gossiping, okay? Men don't do that. But are you actively engaging your brothers just to, hey, what's up, brother Tamba? How's everything going, man? Is everything good with you? One thing I like about the 5% nation is that when they meet, they say, peace, God, what's the science? Because when they meet, they don't have time for trivial conversations. So when I meet you, brother Randy, what's up, brother? How you doing, man? Peace be unto you. What's the lesson? And you start chopping it up. When you create a lodge based on chopping it up, the lessons, men grow from every encounter. So your meetings are no longer meetings. There's no such thing as a business meeting. It's an encounter because I'm going to walk away from that meeting learning parliamentarian law, business law, and how to conduct myself beyond the hood, but in the boardroom, learning to be a gentleman. Being a gentleman doesn't make you soft. It makes you strong because now you're in control of every area of your life as best of your ability. Okay. You got to understand that when a man refuses to grow, he disconnects himself from the things that can help him become better. No more excuses. The, the wisdom of our mentors are our greatest strength. Everybody in your lodge is a 10 in one area. Can you learn from that brother? The guidance of experienced brothers creates warriors and solidifies kingdoms. It solidifies your brother Nickens helped me. And I'm gonna share this with the brothers because I'm gonna be open and transparent. I can't teach a lesson unless I'm willing to be intimate and transparent. All I knew was row house, Baltimore City, and the hustle of 21215, 21213, 21218. That's what I understood. 21234. It wasn't until I got around him and other brothers who owned their own businesses, who had single family houses, who had big houses that I started dreaming. I limited myself. I said, I can only afford a house of $500 a month. Through contact with these brothers and mentoring, not just them telling me, but the lifestyle, it taught me that the sky is no longer my limit. The multiverse is. That at each dispensation, each dimension of my life, the decisions I made has an equal but opposite reaction or an effect upon my life. And if I want something, I can't make an excuse of why I can't get it. I have to find a way to get it within the due bounds of who I am. You got to also understand that there's strength in brotherhood, not just your posse that you call when you get in a beef, but I have access to priests, kings, entrepreneurs, warriors. Everything we need is in the house. Everything we need is in the house. So I ain't got time to argue with my brother because he got something that I need. And more or less, his camaraderie. To become a Mason, it's not, we take it for granted. It's an honor that people would allow themselves to be tethered to you for life by an obligation before the Most High God. That if my brother falls in trouble, I must do my best to help him out without killing me. You got to understand that you have to be, if you want to use this common gavel tonight, if you don't know anything else, you must make a commitment to improvement. You're going to have to grow. I'm just not in the lodge to sit down and be part of it. I have to say, I used to say, I don't want a seat, But I understand I'm doing the lodge a disservice if I'm not willing to sacrifice time and my energy and my own selfish pursuits not to serve my brothers. Serving my brothers is more than giving me a handshake and a laugh or a drink or a cigar. It's serving the lodge. The reason brothers vote on brothers because they know that 10 of them is going to make the lodge better. The lodge only gets better when we get out of our own way. Everybody wants to be the Tyler so they can sit outside the door, but you're missing out on stuff. Generally, in lodges, the Tyler is a past master, a person that has mastered that stuff. Because a younger brother needs to be in the lodge around his men because we become a tribe. Okay? Most importantly, we must maintain our commitment to God. That's why that's a prerequisite to become a man. You must maintain your commitment to God. And if you maintain your commitment to God, guess what you're saying? I'm maintaining a commitment to myself. So that means if I make a vow to God that I'm going to do something, and now when it's required me to do it, what I'm going to do? Go back and tell God I'm not going to do it? I'm a liar? The Bible says, and our holy book says, a liar will not inherit the kingdom. The father of the liar is the devil, Satan, the adversary. So I got to stop lying and start doing. Hold myself in higher regard. Once I commit to God and myself, then our brothers can grow. Our families can grow. A man gets up and goes to work. And if he comes home and he only got $5 left after working and taking care of his family, he's a success. And it's my job as his brother to teach him how to multiply that five. So at the end of his cycle, that he's better, that we can 10x that five. Then with the result of that 10x, we can 10x that and 10x. The large has to be focused on a 10x model of growth, growth spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, and financial. You can't be caught up in your emotions in self mastery. How I feel. He hurt my feelings. You can't work. Men are rational creatures. When we get with our mothers and we stay attached to the nipple too long, we lose the power of detaching from emotional ties. Women say when a woman says a man is weak, she understands one thing: he's attached to his emotional tie. When a man's firm, he can look at his woman one way and she stop acting a fool. And if she's not that disciplined, that means you with the wrong woman. Your job is not to make. Your job is to merge. Okay. You got to understand once again, growth is not optional. It's not optional. Period. God doesn't allow you not to grow. When God created man, he gave you a job to rule and have dominion over the earth. But the average church guy runs, he talks about the devil more than he speaks about his kingdom. God has given me the power to have rulership and dominion over the earth. I talked to a guy the other day. He said, I'm praying about it. I'm praying, I'm fasting. I said, what is the action after praying and fasting? Because in the Bible, after a man prayed and fasted, God revealed to him the methodology of success. But if you stuck you're stuck praying and fasting, you become a liar. God's going to make a way. He already did, but you refuse to walk in that way. The bird is never going to eat waiting for God to put a worm in his nest. That bird must go to work. He must leave his comfort zone to attain the thing that he say he desires or needs. Growth is not optional. Listen, it is your responsibility using this common gavel. Your responsibility to be accountable. The past should not be not the past should be your teacher, not your prison. Say that to yourself. My past should be my teacher and not my prison. What you may have to do is go get you one of those no notebooks. And I want you to do me a favor. In that notebook, write down events of your past, one per page. One per page. Some of you brothers got a lot of writing to do, but I want you to take it. I want you to write. Get a notebook. Get a notebook. Don't just write it on a piece of paper. I need you to write. Not use your phone. Not use your tablet. Gentlemen, write. We master from brain to heart to hand. I want you to write out this week on 5 individual sheets, 5 things that happen, and underneath it, the lesson I learned. And we're gonna go over that too. We're gonna go over that. We're gonna go over that. Okay? We're gonna go over that. A man who trapped in yesterday cannot connect with his mentors, who are grown men. Men who have grown past that thing. See, when you trapped in your past, you segregate yourself from success. You got to understand that your mentors have grown because they're moving forward while you remain to stand still. Freemasonry calls us to something greater, to evolve, to discipline ourselves, to strengthen our character, to become men worthy of trust, leadership, and brotherhood. You have to earn that brotherhood. It's not just given because you got an apron, a ring on your finger, a logo on your car. Brotherhood has to be earned. And I tell people that's what, and I can be honest, in the past, brothers have rubbed me the wrong way because they become con artists using brotherhood as their escape for not doing. But I would do them a disservice just allowing my anger to separate me from them. In the past, you rub me wrong, that's the end. But because of fraternity, I feel though the Most High has kept me in this position to teach them a lesson or to become his hands, his voice, his mouthpiece, to let that brother know he's wrong. Brother, I need you to pick up your common gavel and start chiseling away. I saw you do A, B, C, D, and E. Use the tools as rules and not just ornaments. And then finally, brothers, I want you to think about this. What lesson from your past helped to shape the man you are today? I need at least 2 brothers to come on here now and answer that question. I need 2, at least 2. What lesson from your past, and I'm giving you 2 minutes, what lesson from your past, 3 minutes, what lesson from your past helped shape the man you are today? Who's up? Come on, brothers. Unmute yourself. Somebody come forward. What lesson from your past helped you shape the man you become? Come on, somebody. Are y'all still there?
Hey, brother, this is Brother Tamba.
Brother Tamer.
So I used to be in a spot where I give my everything for anybody that I called a friend,
Mm-hmm.
or somebody that I said that I truly love.
Right.
Um, but I there were 3 instances where try to help a friend, different friends out, and I got the pretty much the bad luck you know, of the whole
Mm-hmm.
trade aspect. The biggest one that hit me was I tried to help one of my friends out, and I got pretty much locked up for it. You know,
Wow.
um, and that incident right there taught me a whole lot because it's like you can't put your foot out and help everybody. In the
Right.
long run, you have to look out for yourself, and you have to be able to, judge who's there for you and who's a snake in your
Yeah.
corner.
Right.
And once you find out and figure out who that snake is or who those snakes are, that's
Mm-hmm.
when you have to start separating yourself and taking your energy and putting it somewhere else. So
Exactly.
I've throughout, as I go on with this life, I take it, the people that are in my corner is a very small number.
Right.
So I have to be able to really have that faith in you to be like, yeah, I'm gonna put my last out there to help you.
Right.
Becoming a Mason helped me to be in a position where I was able to reopen my heart to be where I can help my brothers out whenever I needed it.
Right.
Whenever I could. So
Hmm.
being amazing to me is a collective.
Hmm.
I make sure that if I get that phone call, I'm gonna be there.
Yes, sir.
And you guys have definitely put out the phone calls a lot. And we always have to make sure that whatever we can do, even if we can't do it, we have to do our very best to do it.
Right. Right.
So that my experience is not everybody is helpable,
Uh-huh.
but if you do try your best, sometimes you will find the ones that are positive for you, but there's also
Hmm.
going to be the negative side of things.
Exactly. Thanks for sharing, Brother Tamara. Is there another brother who can answer that question? What lesson in your past helped to shape the man you are today? Come on, everybody. It's time to wake up. Come on. Come on. Somebody come forward. Let me see who we got on this phone line. Oh, we got some other brothers on here. Brother Randy, could you pop on here, bro? What lesson from your past helped to shape you to be the man you are today? Okay, I guess we got a feel of that one. Here's the next one. What habit or mindset in your life needs the common gavel right now? Okay, it's loud. I got you, bro. What habit or mindset in your life needs the common gavel right now? And the final question I want you, and we're gonna review this again next week because I'm also ask you how can brotherhood help a man move forward when he feels stuck? How can brotherhood help a man move forward when he's stuck? All right. In closing, brothers, in closing, Freemasonry doesn't ask a man to forget his past. It asks him to learn from it and to build something better. It asks for him to learn from it. Okay. To learn from it and then build something better. The common gavel reminds us that the improvement we need requires action. The improvement we need requires action. Each day, we chip away at our habits. We chip away at our fears. We chip away at our attitudes that prevent us from becoming better men. Every day, a Mason is not defined by yesterday. He's defined by keeping his word and the building he becomes day by day. He is defined by his commitment to growth. Nah, brother Nicholas can't hear you. A Mason honors the past. He learns from it. Then he steps forward into the light to become the man God intended him to be. I'm going to say that again. You may have to write that down. A Mason honors the past, not live in it, learns from it, and then steps forward into the light to become the man God intended him to be. Your homework, the weekly challenge. This week, reflect on one question. What in your life needs the common gavel? Identify one habit, one mindset, or fear that's holding you back. Then begin the work to improve it. So I want you to write down the issue, how to improve it, and then start working. Pick up your symbolic gavel and begin shaping the man you are meant to become. Somebody said, well, I don't have the lessons. I don't know that. You go to Chat GPT, put in your issue. Hey, I have a problem getting up in the morning. What practical steps can I do to improve myself? And it will give you a definition. It'll give you some practical ways. And what you got to do this week, from this Wednesday to next Wednesday, is to put that plan into effect and then come back next week so we can talk about how the common gavel was applied to your life. And what I'm going to do next week, the first 15 minutes, we're going to go recap today before we go into the next lesson. Okay? We're going to use that. All right, brothers. I'm going to open the floor to any comments, questions, concerns, corrections, if there be any. If you have any questions for me, I'm here to answer that question for you. Next week, we're going to do the 24-inch gauge, and that lesson is entitled Mastering Time and Discipline. It's time for you to become Neo in this matrix. If y'all can, turn your cameras on, and if you can, let's have a connect. You have any questions? Anybody? I see you, Brother Tamara. Any questions? Y'all can, if you want to, you can just pop on and just ask your question, and I will answer it in pertaining to this lesson.
Actually, I'll be somewhere quiet. I can participate. I'm just listening right now.
Yeah, I can't hear you that well, Brother Randy. Okay, it's good to see you. Okay. I see you partaking in the leaf. Okay. Any other brothers? We have any comments, questions, or concerns in this last 4 minutes? If you have any questions and you was taking
Can you
notes, you
hear me?
needed some. Yep, I can see. I can hear you.
Oh, it's about time. I don't know if it's because I got my phone where I got it sitting at or what, but I was trying to share earlier.
Okay.
Too late to
Please,
share.
no. Do
So,
me a favor. 2 minutes. Go on and share. Share. Please do.
well, what I was going to say is something that changed, um, that made me who I am today
Mm-hmm.
is growing up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Growing up and seeing the things that I've seen inside my house.
Could you share on it?
Um,
Could you break it down and share with us what does growing up mean and the
well,
methodology you're
growing up,
interacting with?
the household that I came up in, you know
Well, we got.
my background. So I'll say this. When I grew up, there were a lot of things that I saw my mom doing, right? As
Mm-hmm.
far as males were concerned, that I couldn't understand how men allowed themselves to be used in a specific way, right?
Okay.
As I got older, naturally I grew up, and my thing was never me, right?
Right.
Um, but what that did was it created somebody that I would probably say that there were a lot of people that I was in relationships with or was pursuing a relationship with that I know directly based off of their comments that it was like, yeah, we can't go any further because you just have no feelings.
Right.
Um, so it produced somebody who was void of feelings when it came down to females, right?
Okay.
Um, over time. And what I will tell you is that after I became a Mason, I
Mm-hmm.
actually had a senior master sergeant when I was overseas, and by this time, I was an adult.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a senior master sergeant that he happened to see me while I was dating my wife, and one of the things he said was, he was like, "You do know you're gonna run that woman off, don't you?" And I was like, I don't care. He was like, well, because what my statement was, I really don't care if a woman want to be with me, she'll be with me. If she don't, she don't. Ain't no
Right.
sweat off my brow, right?
Right.
He was like, yeah, but he was like, do you love her? And I was like, yeah. He was like, so he said, I'm not telling you that you have to not be you as far as what you're doing. He said, but there's a better way for you to do it to where is in you could deal with women and not be so cold. You don't have to
Uh-huh.
be cold, but still get the same desired effects, right?
Okay.
And the reason why I'm using that as a lesson is because when we start talking about the common gavel, and more importantly, because a time during the class that I was trying to say, okay, how is he going to tie in the common gavel to all of this? And however you tied the common gavel into the relationships that we build inside the lodge, to whereas then we're using our common gavel, the way in which we get support in wielding that common gavel is we're around individuals inside of the lodge that can help us to continue to work on the bad portions of our nature that need to be fixed, because there's always somebody inside the lodge that has gone through what you've gone through, or they know somebody that has gone through it, which means that you can get assistance in going through that thing if you're tied into the lodge.
Exactly.
Now, I'm assuming that's what you meant, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Because
using
the common
that,
gavel, so if you look at it, the common gavel is a tool of our profession, but is an internal tool that we're to use to identify the issues within us, and then it opens up the transparency of revealing it to others, which is your brothers, and then it opens up the accountability to allow your brothers to tell you the truth and for you to apply yourself to correct those flaws or those situations in your life. Some issues that we may not be able to repair, but as Masons, always building, always traveling, you're going to be far better person a week from now than you were a day that you allowed your excuses to allow that problem, situation, fear, habit to remain in your life. So, and
right,
then your brothers are key because you don't grow, it's hard for you to fix a picture when you're part of the canvas. You have to stand back from that canvas and see the full picture and see, what's off about the picture, and you can identify it. That's why I love putting out pictures, say, hey, look at this picture. Tell me when you see it, or show me what's wrong. And when you can identify that, that's training your eye to see the flaw or the abnormality in that picture. And that's what we're trying to do, train a brother to see his flaws and to fix those abnormalities.
so that's what I was going to share. Um, uh, but good job. I appreciated the lesson tonight. It's been a long time since I've been in a lodge of instruction. So I really, really appreciated it. I appreciated you taking the time and actually performing, doing a lesson plan, and I appreciate the brothers that actually decided to join. I hope
Yeah.
that, as we go forward, that the group and the base of who is participating grows. But
Hmm.
I really enjoyed it tonight.
Yeah. Actually, Brother Randy.
I just agree. I was just gonna say some more to be. It was good. Proud of you. You came a long
Blessing,
way.
brother. Blessing, brother.
And y'all here.
All right. Well, brothers, that time is here. Your time is valuable. We went a little over, but I'm cool with the time we had. I made sure I went into Zoom and I bought the year package. That way, we're not held hostage to a time. So, we can actually break it down. These sessions will be one part lesson, one part esoteric definition, and then the other part is interaction. I know as we grow, not every brother can talk, But it would be good, like I said, going forward, that we have at least 3 or 4 brothers interacting for a 20-minute session at least. So, because a lot of the questions or a lot of the comments help iron sharpen iron. This is not just one person saying, but iron sharpens iron. So when we do these lessons, you may want to get some earbuds if you're in a loud place and pop it in your ear. That noise canceling works wonders. I'm just proud of the brothers that tuned in. This is a monumental effect. Every Wednesday, 7:15, we will be on here with a different lesson. I can give you a precursor to the lessons we got coming forward. The day was the common gavel, breaking the chains of the past. Up next is the 24-inch gauge, mastering time and discipline. The third lesson will be the rough ashlar, fix yourself before fixing the world. The fourth lesson's the perfect ashlar, become a man of character. The fifth is the chisel, education and refinement. And the sixth lesson will be the northeast corner, building a strong foundation from the cornerstone. So yeah, we're gonna do some work. We're gonna build every week. We're gonna chop it up every week. There will not be a such time. It is my goal that we can get to the place that, and I'm gonna say it, that at least 3 times a week we have a teacher for at least 1 hour availing themselves to teach something. You know, brother might miss Wednesday, but the lesson is recorded so he can get it and take notes and be a partaker. There will never be another time in Maryland, DC, Virginia, wherever you are, that you can use the excuse that I'm not learning the Freemasonry when we're availing ourselves to you so we can give you what you need. You said you want more light, I'm going to give it to you 100%. The bright light, the shining light, you're going to get all that and then some. And I hope you get some understanding and how to apply things to your life. And please make sure you get your homework done. Don't forget, get yourself a tablet, not a tablet, composition notebook. And at the top of there, to put those 5 things. I want 5 things, one per page, and then put that would happen in your life. And underneath each of them, put down the lesson you learned and be willing to share. All right, brothers. I now conclude the lesson. Their comments, questions, concerns, or corrections, real quick. We got 1 minute before we close out.
Appreciate you, brother Mike. Matt,
Or love you, brother.
definitely appreciate you.
Gotcha. Look, I'm still packing, man. I never knew I accumulated this much stuff in 11 years. All righty. Any other brothers before we close out? All right, brothers, I'm not going to belabor the time. Let us pray. Most High God, we thank you for another day, another time that brothers got to sup, got to join in one another. You said in your word, where there are 2 or 3 gathered together, touch and agree, and you're in the midst. So I ask in the name of God Himself Almighty that you would open up the windows of heaven and pour out blessings upon my brothers. Every blessing they need, all their healing, all their direction, answer questions, God. Allow this course of self-discovery, discipline, and self-mastery to be done step upon step. Open up the way, God, a vein of prosperity that not only our minds, bodies, and spirits be enriched, but even our pocketbooks. Bless those that fight with us, fight against those that fight against us, and we will honor your presence by being men of your word. These and other blessings we ask in your matchless name. Amen.
Shalom.
Amen. All right. Amen.
And if y'all can hear me, y'all should try to check out a movie called From Hell.
The movie what?
It's called From Hell.
I watched that. Yeah, that's the movie of Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
I own it. I own it.
Everybody needs to watch that movie.
It's on YouTube. I'll put it in the thread. The full
Okay.
movie's on YouTube. I'll put it in the thread. Thank you, brother Randy.
Yeah. Y'all be good. Y'all stay safe.
You too, brothers. All right, brother. Peace and blessings.